Okay, guys, I'm super stoked. We've got a legend in his world. His name is Eric Gillman, and Eric is an author. We're going to talk a little bit about his book today, but also he is one of the top salespeople in the country for a little organization you probably heard of called Cutco. So I've known Cutco for years and years and years, and I've always admired their not just their tenacity, but they're just straight up great salespeople. And I know they've got an amazing training program, and they just do a great job, number one, but also they also have great people. So Eric, so glad to have you on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. Grateful to be here.
Yeah. So we were talking before the program, and I actually took some time and I read like the first 30 pages of your book this morning. And so you have quite the life story. And I like to kind of flesh out, you weren't born a great salesperson, but you're now one of the number one people in the country with this organization. Like, we'll talk about that kind of transformation of where you started in, kind of getting kicked out of high school in your junior year to becoming one of these top salespeople in the country. How'd that happen?
Sure. And so, yeah, what I wrote about in the book and the lessons are similar from how I changed my life and my personal life to how I ascended through a professional career. And if I were to sum it up, really what it really boils down to is small daily incremental actions constantly.
Right.
Every day. I've been selling Cutco, or as we say, selling knives and changing lives now for 15 years.
Love it.
This was my high school summer job.
Wow.
Here I am, 15 years and I've sold $3 million worth of Cutco personally.
Wow.
Cutco Hall of Fame, traveled to 20 countries around the world through Cutco, and made I wouldn't even call it a network of friends, but I would call it a lifetime family of relationships.
Wow.
And what that comes back to, though, is to answer your question, is how does that all happen? I just said this to a representative at a conference recently. It's just a glorious compilation of failing forward.
Got it.
I'm the most consistent, average person you're ever going to see in any career. And that's why I promote myself and that consistency to so many other people, because if you just repeat, and like we talked about, or you mentioned before, is like just the consistency of the training of Cutco reps, and we can get into like the specifics of that. But I just learned that if you make small actions every day, through long period of time, is what adds up to massive change in your life. So I wrote the book. It's called The Power to Change, about making those small changes. Right?
Yeah. So let's drill down into this kind of tactically, because all salespeople have some universal truths. Like, we have to prospect, we've got to follow up, we got to lead generate, we've got to deliver amazing customer service. So for you personally, and I'm seeing your sign behind you, which says the 5 a.m., the hour when legends are either waking up or going to sleep. I love it. Do you have a morning ritual? Is that how you start the day every day?
Yeah. And let's show you, I'm going to show you another sign before that one too. So that's my 5 a.m. sign. It was given to me recently by a friend of mine who's I run a 5 a.m. accountability group called the Justice League. Okay. We just named it that. I'm a big superhero fan. It just kind of all fell together. Our mission statement is a group of superhuman individuals who gather daily in order to enhance each other's powers.
Love it.
It's awesome. We've been doing it for 18 months now. I can dive into some specifics about it, but going back to what I said before, Jim, is this has been a career and a lifetime of failing forward. Okay, that 5 a.m. post, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've only had that up for 19 months. Prior to that was failed accountability partners, messing gym, not getting to gym time in the morning, sleeping in. I used to think when I first started with Cutco, when my first manager, Jeremy Miller, told me to come to the office one day at 7 a.m, I was like, nah, you must have meant PM, right? Like, nobody goes to work at 7 a.m.
Right.
So it's just that small progression, right, over time. So now, I'm up every day. I run the call. It's badass. And it's easy for people. And I think this is similar with a lot of different successes, whether it's knives or getting up early or having great abs or having a great family. People just see this end product. Mm-hmm. That's Eric, man. He's that 5 a.m. guy who doesn't really party much anymore. And he does it, but it's just, it took so long to build it. And so what I say is I want to show you a different sign here. And this one says no excuses.
Got it.
And I've been wearing these bracelets, give you a little perspective. I've been wearing them so long. These two bracelets are the same color. I've had this one on so long, it used to be this color.
Wow.
And so what it boils down to really is, to answer that question directly, is don't make excuses. Stop making excuses for the lifestyle and the person that you want to become, and start taking responsibility for the actions that you have to do. And just that's, the biggest plague we have in America for sure, if not the entire world. But we're so lucky is to have these lives that we live, and we're just clouded with such BS and excuses and reasons that we can't do it. And my leg hurts, and it's too late, and that's too early, and my tummy hurts, and whatever it is. And I still suffer with all those. The tummy hurt thing, I had a stomach ache this morning. I almost didn't go to meet my workout partner, but I didn't. I went anyway because I was like, I wear a bracelet. This is no excuses. It's chapter 7 in the book. You'll get there, and I'll send you some bracelets. But it comes down to like, how did I become successful over time, right? It's consistency. But it's just, we all have those voices in our head. Just, you got to have a bigger voice that tells that one to shut up.
Right.
You got to stomp out just quiet down with it. Like, everyone's got it, but the more you can work that muscle, and the muscle being integrity and, vision and what you want, the stronger you can work it, the more often you work it. I'll say that again. The more often you work it. The reason New Year's resolutions fail is because you only try and work it once a year.
Right.
Why are you trying to have resolution every night when you go to bed to do something tomorrow? And then if it doesn't work, do it again, resolve again. Like, I New Year's resolute every morning when I'm looking at my vision board. Like, it's like, let's go, reset button. And, and then it hits the fan every day, and things happen and whatever, but you just keep moving forward.
So let's talk about, like, because what you're selling is knives, which is, not easy sell, I think. And what most people would think, how in the world would I go out and actually successfully make a living selling knives? I mean, that's a really impressive feat. Honestly, it reminds me of a lot of these sales seminars where I see somebody hand another guy a glass of water and say, sell me the glass of water. I mean, that's challenging. So how do you deal with what I would imagine to be, a lot of rejection every day? I mean, you're dealing with a lot, and I've dealt with enough, and I've been friends with enough cut-go guys and gals to know that they are masters at professional persistence. Like, how do you deal with that mentally and just on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. So before I get in, I want to show specifically kind of like, so again, been doing this 15 years. We sell primarily Cutco for the home, right? It's an in-home product. If you haven't heard of it, it's super high quality, 100% American-made products. What my team specializes in is custom branding those. And that's what brought us together in the real estate world, right? So we custom engrave them, names, logos. I even got the window mirror one for you there, all that stuff on there, right?
Yep.
So, and I show that to you because it's important to know, because it reinforces why I must do what I do every day. So primarily it's like, people are like, oh, wow, knives, that's a really hard sell. Now, this is biased because I've been doing this a while, but like, is it? Like, raise your hand if you haven't used a knife in the last week.
Yeah, good point.
Every house on the planet has a set of knives in it, whether it's good or not. Every human on earth uses a knife 3 to 5 times a week to cut food into smaller pieces to fit it into their mouth. That's a fact. I've never met a person who hasn't used a knife before. Have you?
No.
So that's what we tell, and that's that comes with a lot of belief over time, right? But that's just what it is. So when it came down to like doing, selling in home, because I sold my first $1.5 million of Cutco primarily just direct to customer, right? So I did it all. I drove all over the place. I've sharpened over 100,000 knives personally, because Cutco knives are all, guaranteed forever. I worked at the San Diego County Fair for 8 years. I've worked every show under the moon: the gun show, the home show, the boat show, the women's expo, the kids expo, worst show ever. Don't bring knives to a kids expo. That one, we got duped. We got sold hard on getting there. But the point is, I've been in every scenario that you should or shouldn't be in, right? And it's because of that, it's that driving persistence. So that's on the residential side. It comes from that belief. But then also on the real estate side, we're doing a huge service here and helping agents and lenders, not just gift, not just, hey, here's a really nice gift. Hey, here's a really awesome knife. We're helping them put a system in place that reflects the lifetime relationship that they plan on having with their clients.
Right.
Right. In our industry, what do we do for gifts? It's gift cards, it's wine, it's champagne, it's gift cards. And look, I didn't come here to tell you that people don't like champagne. I like champagne.
Mm-hmm.
But you tell me, Jim, 6 months down the road, where are all those gifts?
Yeah, garbage can, right? Yeah.
It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Even worse, it makes your clients fat and hungover. They eat it, they drink it, they put it, or even worse, they put it on a shelf, they forget about it, right? So what we're doing here primarily is a service to agents by not only replacing that gift that's something that represents that lifetime relationship, but if used properly, and we don't have to go into all the modes of it, but if used properly, if you give it with a gift letter, if you present it the right way, this is something that leverages referrals down the road as you continue to build that relationship. And so to go ahead to answer the question directly is that it's that deep belief.
Yeah.
People ask me every single day. We might get to it by the end of this call. I have to get recruited into real estate. I was joking. I was like, when are you going to start selling real estate? And I'm like, I haven't heard that yet today. So I appreciate it. Really though, and I say it kind of as a joke, but it's serious. It's like, well, if I sold real estate, then there would be nobody in all of Southern California to sell the gifts to the realtors or lenders, and they would go back to using wine and champagne and gift cards. And frankly, that would make me sad. I wouldn't sleep at night. Like I actually get concerned with agents and lenders, and everyone do your thing, be yourself. But again, find something that represents the lifetime relationship. And if you think that a gift basket full of toilet paper and random stuff for the house is going to be your representation of your lifetime relationship, go for it. There's plenty of other realtors who recognize what we're doing here. But for that, so it's just this constant belief. It goes down to it's a deep, deep rooted belief in what we do.
Yeah. The first person you have to sell is yourself, right? So, and you're obviously convicted about your product. And I think that's the biggest thing is you have to believe in what you're selling. As realtors, we're selling ourselves to a large degree because that's what they're buying into us. But when you're actually, when you're selling this though, how does the sales happen? I mean, are you calling on realtors? Are you calling on lenders like one-off? And how does that happen exactly?
Sure. And if I can challenge you on that too, just one thing you said is as a realtor or lender, you're selling the American dream. Yeah. You're selling the opportunity. Of course, now because it is super highly competitive, part of that is your package, right? You're who you are. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But it's like the deeper thing is like, do you really, if you're an agent, and I challenge you, people listening, is like, if you're an agent, are you really passionate about that opportunity you're creating for people so they can leverage great debt, get tax write-offs, move up in life, and actually own a piece of dirt that actually means something? Right. And so that's why I encourage like realtors, if you don't feel that way, well, I think you should, but that's just, now we're talking personal opinions. So, but what do we do? And this goes back to your previous question is like, how do we end up doing this? That we focus its activity level, right? It's going all day, every day. So I might not know exactly what I'm going to do every single day. Now I've been doing this part of the job for 7 years. I'm pretty dialed in with what I need to do. But when I'm coaching a new representative, and this is true if you're a Cutco rep or an agent, what's your activity level? What are you doing? How often are you shaking hands, high-fiving, showing up face-to-face, hitting the phones like they slapped your mama, as we say around my office? You got to hit it hard, man. And so like primarily, and this goes back to what I said about, that Cutco rep. I hear this a lot of the times, like, I never let people into my office. But this guy just kept calling and he's super nice. And then he just sent me a gift. And then I saw him at another event. Really what it comes down to, Jim, is just keep showing up. Right? Rocky Balboa says, it's not how hard you can get hit. It's about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit. And one stat I'm always bringing up whenever I'm coaching someone new, I was just talking about this last weekend. I'm sure you've heard of Babe Ruth, right?
Oh, yeah.
He had the home run record. Do you know what record he also got the same year he broke the home run record?
What was it? Tell me.
Strikeout record.
Strikeout. There you go.
Nobody ever talks about it.
Right. It's all about the home runs.
Same record. Guy wasn't the greatest baseball player that ever lived. He was a maniac who swung at every pitch on the planet. And now 100 years later, we eat candy bars with his name on it. Right. So be that agent, be that night person, take every chop you can get, pun intended, at it and get after it. And at the end of the day, like then you go to sleep better. Like if you work 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever your hours are. And I trust me, and goes back to I've failed forward very much in my career. I've had every bad thing that's ever happened to any salesperson ever has, knock on wood, aside from getting stabbed with a knife or whatever, like everything that's bad, I've been hung up on. I've been told to leave a house. I've been kicked out of a meeting. I've been whatever it is. And it's never, past the afternoon of maybe a couple deep breaths, maybe a little bit of time at the boxing club. I work on the boxing bag a little bit. Boxing's great, by the way. A little tangent there.
Take out that energy.
If you are a sales, that's one of my favorite pastimes. And yeah. So it's about how you show up every day. And that goes back to the 5 a.m. thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at now is win the morning, win the day, whatever that means. If it's 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. or if you wake up at 9 a.m., that's cool, but you better be working till 9 p.m. if you're getting up at 9 a.m. It doesn't matter when you're actually doing the work. It matters that the work's getting done. And that's what separates Cutco reps from a lot of other people is we recognize.
One thing that we talk about in real estate is what I've been talking about a lot lately is the algorithm of sales. So for one of our agents, we say, hey, listen, maybe what you're going to do is you're going to go out and you're going to talk to people in a neighborhood. You're going to call them. Let's say call 20. You follow it up with 20 texts and you follow that up with 20 cards, or you do some order that random order. And from that, you can expect to get 1 to 2 appointments. And from that, you can expect to get 1 or 2 listings. Do you work on the same kind of thing? Like you have like a system, like this is how many calls I need to make per appointment, so many appointments per sale. Is that you're working numbers like that in your system?
To some degree, yes.
Yeah.
There's definitely numbers are a factor. I am not a numbers guy. That's never been organizational standpoint and numbers and stats and spreadsheets. I've always been and that's, a lot of a high DI in the disc profile.
Yeah.
Just go, baby.
Energy. Yeah, let's go make it happen.
We'll fill in the gaps or I'll hire somebody else to do it afterwards to fix the problems that I made. It's not the best system. I'm not saying that's the way to go about it, but that's how it goes. But to talk specifically on it, yes, there is a model. And I've been preaching this for over a decade. It's how I sold my first $100,000 worth of Cutco in a single year. I've been telling this to reps. I told this to reps all last weekend. You want to know how to sell $100,000 worth of Cutco in 1 year?
No, I want to know. Tell me.
Phone calls a day.
How many?
2.
20.
0.
20. Okay.
It's 1.5 hours of work.
Right.
Every day.
Mm-hmm.
For 1 year.
That's the consistency. That's where people fall apart. And I would argue that for realtors, if they were making 20 calls a day, they would have amazing 6-figure success as well. So that's really interesting.
It's the easy part is, of course I can make 20 phone calls in a day. Anybody can make 20. Can you do it the next day, day? And then when you miss a day on day 21, on day 22, you're making 40 phone calls.
Right. Yeah.
You're making it up. And I've been telling this to reps for years. I say, hey, if you make 100 phone calls a day for 365 days straight and you don't sell $100,000 worth of Cutco in a year, I swear to God, you can punch me right in the face. Let me ask you a question, Jim. Do I look like I've been punched a lot?
Nah, you look good, man. Look good.
Right? So like, but it's that where we lose people. And it's phone calls, it's health, it's, relationships, it's consistency. And so we lose a lot of people with that. But yeah.
How do you stay consistent with, because any type of sales is hard, but how do you stay consistent when let's say you just don't feel like getting up, you don't feel like making the calls, you don't feel up to it mentally? How do you get over that? Because what you're doing is hard. It's just no excuses, huh? Just keep going. I feel
like making calls before. This happened to me today. I wonder if one day before I retire, it will stop, but I doubt it. It was 1 o'clock. We've got our meeting today at 3. I had 20 phone calls to make before we had our meeting. And I'm just like, well, we got the mortgage in my house doesn't become like less expensive because I don't feel good about paying it. Like I have massive, massive goals. And I think that's important too, is to have the BHAG, right? The big, hairy, audacious goal that, and more so than that, it doesn't matter about the what, because big problem in a lot of industries, but really is like you're focused on the what, but you have to focus on the why.
Yeah.
And I've got a super deep rooted why. I work with an international nonprofit. I wrote this book. Like I'm so deeply rooted in why I'm doing what I'm doing that the what is it's not a if. It's just like this gets done this today, or it gets done tomorrow, but tomorrow's already full. So it gets done today.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't sleep at night.
Right.
And I legit, I know I'd say it, but like I legitimately about once a quarter now. It used to be in college once a week or once every 2 weeks. I don't sleep for one night because I'm so backed up with things and admin. And that goes back to my other thing before, is like my organizational systems and whatnot. I'm catching up, and that's just my system. I'm not saying you have to do that, but it's those extra hours, right? People ask me, so I graduated, I went to SDSU. I won 4 scholarships from Cutco while in college. I had a social life. I sold knives and whatnot. People will be like, and I did okay. I did okay at school. I graduated. I got the degree. People, how do you do that? I'm like, I sleep 6 nights a week.
Mm-hmm. You stay up one night.
Then one night at the library, I do all the work that would bother me all the rest of the time. You just get it done, right? But when the why is strong enough, the how is just going to reveal itself. And so,
is a lot of your business at this point in your career repeat and referral?
65% of my business is repeat and referral based business.
So does that mean that they're coming back to you for client gifts then, just over and over and over again?
Yep.
Got it.
So we run primarily a repeat reorder business. Agents are giving them out on a regular basis, and we send them out a year supply of gifts. They repeat. And why agents love it is Cutco makes 60 different knives, right? So when you give this gift to someone, you don't go like, here's your knife. It says my name. I appreciate you. Hey, this is the first piece of Cutco I'm giving you. I'm looking forward to building up your set over time, simply by allowing us to help with your friends and family in real estate.
Gotcha.
Then you end up getting people like my friend Josh Pono, I just talked to you last week, getting calls from his clients saying like, hey, Josh, and he's a bro. That's why I always impersonate his voice. Hey, man, I got a referral for you, but I just want to let you know it's not because I love you so much. It's because I want the next knife in my set. So that's what we're looking to build. And that's why 65%, actually sharp retention as a team. So I'm the number 1 representative on a team of 7 sales reps that share an admin of 18 people altogether. So we're a big operation. We're doing to it. Our team's average is almost 90% repeat referral based business. And that's based off of our 2 team leaders who do 100% repeat and referral based business, who now are removed and run a 7-level business, just letting us do our thing. And, just like, again, in real estate, proving a model.
Yeah. It's, in real estate, it's all about referral and repeat as well, and how you build that up over time.
And I think this is important. What I just said, it just occurred to me too, is following a model, right? And that's what real estate is. It's what you said too. You give an agent metrics, and within a reasonable number, if you make 20 phone calls a day, you send 60 emails a week, and you make 5 to 5 handshakes every single week. I mean, you might know the numbers. I'm just making this up off top. Yeah. Like, you will do business. Yeah. Like, it's inevitable. We have the same model, right? I'm plugged in. I'm following someone else. I've never done something 100% originally that's my own successfully. I'm just following other people. I happen to be very grateful that I found a circle of extraordinary people, and that's that Cutco training, right? Yeah. But I'm just following my mentor. My mentor told me 6 years ago, he goes, hey man, if you follow me, XYZ things will happen and you'll produce XYZ result. And, there was year 1 through 3 and 4, there's a lot of adversity, a lot of doubts, a lot of, hey man, I really hate you right now. But here I am on the other side at year 5. And long story short, I'm like, I'll follow you to the moon and back, dude. It worked. And whatever you say goes till we're on the beach somewhere retired forever.
That's so interesting. So success leaves clues, like you're saying, right? So we all follow successful people. But you have been doing Cutco for 15 years. It's only 6 years ago you got a mentor, or you got somebody you're following?
No, I've had many mentors, and it was actually the same guy. I have a special relationship with a guy named Adam Sobieski, who founded the Sharp Retention team. But we've actually been in the same office since the beginning of my career. I've kind of been one step behind him the entire way, and I'm grateful. And I wouldn't say lucky, because I positioned myself to get selected to have the position that I have. But when I started, he was starting to sell gifts to realtors. So I absorbed actually his residential client list. And I took a 650 person Excel spreadsheet that he handed me. And actually, it wasn't even an Excel spreadsheet. It was 15 pages of paper.
Just a bunch of paper.
I carried, that was my life, man. That was everything. I carried that around, and I turned that 600 some odd names into a full database of over 10,000 people by the time that I sold it, and I sold it to the next person behind me.
Gotcha.
And lucky them, they got it for almost the same deal that I bought the first one from, because I don't get into the business that, I want to help the next, I would say too, is the greatest thing in life. One of the greatest things in life is to say, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's only dwarfed by the ability to say, I did it, turn around, grab the hand of the person behind you, pull them up and say, we did it.
I love it.
And that's, that's the driving force. But it just, so anyway, so Adam moved into the real estate world. I turned his client list into something big. That was over the span of 7 or 8 years. And then I wrote my first book, The Power to Change. I was coaching with Hal Elrod, who wrote Miracle Morning. And have you read that one?
Oh yeah, it's great book. Great book.
So going back to 5 a.m. thing, right?
Yeah.
In the Miracle Morning, Hal talks about when he initially did the Miracle Morning test with a group of Cutco coaching clients.
Mm-hmm.
That was me.
Oh, you're one of them, huh?
I was one of the original guinea pig first people. And it was a big group of people, but it was this whole Hal's starting this thing and he's going to write a book about it. We were at that phase with Hal. And and shout out to Hal, man. Just not only how far he's gone, how many people he's impacted. But I still, I know him personally, and he's just an amazing human. He's just one of those people who has had a lot of success in life, and he's had a lot of adversity, if you know Hal's story. And he deserves every good thing he has coming to him. And but yeah, so it's that was when 5 a.m. started, but that was still 7 years later that it finally took to catch on. And so I wrote the book, and then ironically, timing is everything. The same week that this book came out, the same exact week, I was like, I'm an author now. I'm a speaker. I'm going to kind of phase out of Cutco a little bit. I've hit the Hall of Fame. I've won all the awards. I've got the swords, the gift, whatever. Right. So they give out swords for when you sell it. I have a giant one right here that's pointing out. That same week was the same week that my now mentor took me out to lunch. It was actually we're coming up on the anniversary here in October. Took me out to lunch and offered me the position that I have today. And, it was a lot of weighing back and forth, but then I was like, my shout out to my dad, good advice. He's like, you'll always have this. This is always going to be there, but this opportunity to build something with Adam and Sharp Retention won't. So I took a leap of faith, and I talk about long story short, of a lot of failing, a lot of adversity, mistakes made. I went broke building this business. You don't have to do that. I made a lot of mistakes. That goes back to my high DI personality and how I like to spend money and market. But I, climbed myself out of $24,000 in debt. And now I own the house that I'm standing in, and my car is paid off in full, and planning a pretty massive trip next year, and planning another project. So it's time and patience, and just I'll sum it up with this. Sometimes when you're in the struggle, you got to eat hope for dinner and hustle for breakfast.
I love it. So let me just touch on a couple of things. One of them was you have a database and you're working a database. So you guys have a contact management system you're working all your leads through? You use Salesforce or something like that?
Yes. And
awesome.
So go ahead. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's one failure of a lot of agents, is that they're working off of Taco Bell bags and writing notes on their hands and stuff like that. There's not an organized system behind their approach, and that's tough. But I know you guys live and die by follow-up, so you guys are following up with people religiously. How are you working from having your contact manager up in front of you and just pounding through calls and follow-up calls and notes and everything else?
So yes, and so I was hesitating there because I was wondering where you're going with the question.
Yeah.
So we have a CRM. We got a badass CRM. It's super detailed. Frankly, I don't manage it at all. That's one of the advantages of being on the team.
Yeah.
Why I hesitate is I teach a class called 7 Keys for Lifetime Clients, right? 7 keys to turning a satisfied customer into a raving fan client, right? And key 1 is just the baseline, which is have that database.
Yeah.
It's a bare requirement. It's a must. But what I'm going here with this is it's so much more 3-dimensional than that. The reason Sharp Retention has a 75+% average reorder rate is because we let people know how much we care about them on a regular basis. Really, what I specialize in is strategic appreciation. And somebody asked me on a call this morning, my 5 a.m. call, he goes, what does that mean exactly? And then another person on the call held up a different book that I'd sent him, and goes, it means when he sends cool gifts like this. And it's sending cool things. It really comes down to the Mary Kay quote. Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, the single-handed most successful woman to ever work in the cosmetics industry. She says, walk around as if everybody has a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important.
Love it.
And your job as a professional, and frankly, as a kind, considerate, contributing human being to the world, is to be a detective. Find out what that thing is. Most common misconception about great salespeople is people go, you're a great talker, you should get into sales.
Right.
No, you should be a great listener.
Right. Yeah.
So to get back to like the specifics on the CRM, yes, it's always being managed. There's emails, there's text going out. We've kind of set that into an autopilot type mode. What I keep open on my desktop at all times, and I'm not trying to come off like some millennial influencer here, is my Facebook. Okay, because people want to feel important, right?
Yeah.
There's never been, where's my phone at? Whatever, it's somewhere around here. I think I plugged it in. There's never been a time in history ever that is more easy to find out what makes someone feel important. They're bragging about it. They're putting alley-oops up every single day. You can't miss it, right? Because there it is. It's under my book. Right. But people are shouting from the mountaintops. This is how I feel important. This is my son's baseball game. This is my daughter's wedding dress. This is my new house, right? In the real estate industry, there's plenty of those. Like, so leave a comment, send the video, do something cool. And that's, and again, Facebook is just one aspect of this. We do a lot of mailing too, but this the most easy, low-hanging fruit. But here's the thing, Jim, is what a lot of people don't recognize is in strategic appreciation and letting people know how important they are. This is super important to hear. There is no trackable ROI. There's no, it's not like, oh, if I make 10 phone calls, shake 5 hands and send 20 emails, I'll get 3 results. None of that. Yeah. But we all know intuitively, we all know how these things work, right? Your comment on your client's daughter's wedding dress can lead to that $1.4 million referral 16 months down the road because you made them feel important.
Yeah. I love it.
Feel cared about. I do a whole birthday system where I send birthday videos to people who are super important, because if you can't think of 1 minute of important things to say about someone on their birthday, well, then question if they are actually that important of a person. But if they are, I mean, hot damn, man, what a waste. What if you have the easiest day in the world to make somebody feel loved and cared about, and all you did was click a like, click a thumbs up. I mean, you could do it, you could do that with no clothes on, from sitting in the bed upside down, hanging, eating Cheetos. Like, do something about it, right? Like, it takes that action, and it's like, oh, well, do you really send birthday videos every day? Yeah. Was it 9:30 p.m. last night after I got home from a nice dinner out with my girlfriend, when I was like, hey, I got one more thing I got to do tonight. I got to send 4 birthday videos to these people because they are so important to me. Because when it's like, well, why should I care so much about these people? Well, if you are a full-time agent or becoming one, did you eat food last week? Did you drive a car? Do you live in a house? Do your kids have braces? Well, those are the people who brought that to your life. Right. I suggest you start caring deeply.
So with that, which is really interesting, how many agents don't actually go in, and you've already done it, obviously, and friend and follow all of their clients. Is that something you do automatically first thing out?
And I've transitioned Facebook to be more of my own personal CRM and really view it as that. Despite all this talk about tech and technology, I'm very I try to be off of my phone and computer as much as possible. Trying to adhere to a strict 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's it on the phone type of rule. So I'm utilizing this as a business tool. Well, of course, recognizing this is not just business. This is fun. These are personal things. I'm not like every time I see house clothes, I don't go like, oh, I bet you need a gift for that.
Right.
But I'll like it. My most business thing there, my kind of spoiling my little secret here, but it's not really a secret. Anytime there's a closing, anytime there's a picture of a showing, I love the picture of the kitchen. I'm a kitchen expert. I'm a kitchen
Yeah.
specialist. I'm a kitchen consultant, right? I
Right.
did that for a decade. My job was to consult people on the right pieces to go into their home that's going to help their friends and family have a better kitchen experience. So yeah, like that. So if you're the agent, like all the house photos or whatever it is, but
Right.
it's
Remodeling photos. Yeah.
just doing the thing, man. But yeah, it's utilizing that. And so sending cool stuff digitally is the easiest way to do it. But I mean, what did you get in the mail for me just a few days ago?
I got a book, I got stickers, I got all kinds of stuff. I didn't even go through it all yet, but I got a lot of stuff. I mean, you loaded me up.
And I've become COVID, and one of the big takeaways from this whole time was I've become very tight with the post office people.
I bet.
And and I'll challenge people too. It goes a step further than that. Not only do I show up, I send 20 packages a week. Sometimes during the height of COVID, I was doing 15 to 35 packages, unique packages, handwritten notes, books, cards, gifts, whatever, every week. And they all caught on. They're like, what's going on here?
Right.
So guess who? So I started gifting all the post office people. So not only do they all have like a small knife, but now we've been doing this for over 18 months. Every one of those 4 incredible women who works at the post office, Blanca, Sharon, April, and May, and Petchy, even though she got the knife and left, they all have custom-made Cutco knives with their names on it.
Wow.
And it's not because it's like I don't expect anything out of it. It's because, dude, these people, they work their butts off, man. And plus, I'm in there every week. And be nice to the post office people.
Right.
That's my side PSA. People are so crappy to them, and I get it. I've been there. But just be nice. They're doing great. My USP.
I think that, and you just did something which I think is interesting. I had one of my top agents went outside and he saw a guy sweeping the parking lot, got to talking to him, and ended up selling him a house. And you just never know when a sale's going to come. And it's not just about that. It's just about getting to know people and relationships. And you being able to name off the 4 people at your post office. There's probably very few people watching this that could do the same thing, right? So it's you obviously caring about getting to know people, and that's having a caring attitude about people, which I think is really interesting.
People care about people who care.
Yeah, that's true.
I learned that early on, right? And my mom taught me this growing up. Shout out to mom. Now I've got both parents to shout out on here.
Nice.
Is that my mom, my parents, I got my giving spirit, I think, especially from my mom, but both my parents have always been great and generous. But my mom always taught me growing up, because it doesn't matter the size of the gesture that you make. It matters that you make a gesture in the first place. Right. And that can be a high five. That could be a smile. That could just be a hi, how's your day going? Or it could be a custom package with a custom Cutco knife, right? So one is $150, and one of them costs you 10 seconds of your time and 1 millisecond of your effort. But it doesn't matter to that person. They can mean the exact same thing.
Right.
And as someone who's handed out thousands of knives, sometimes I find that this little card that says, "Who's awesome? You're awesome." People frame these things. They put them in their office. They're like, "What? You got this from me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I stole it from a meme. It's on a business card." It was like, it's not like complicated, but just let people know how important you're making them feel.
So let's talk a minute about you touched on the why being such a way to kind of overcome all doubt, overcome fear, overcome failure. So, and you've got a big project coming up that I think is your why for next year. You got a big bike ride, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So thank you for the opportunity to share on that. I'll be riding next year from March 17th to 5 months and 29 days from now. I'll be leaving Miami and riding a bicycle. That's a regular bicycle from Miami to San Diego.
Wow.
Going cross country. And it starts with, so I have it's called Eric Rides for Hope. So you can follow along. Everything is Eric Rides for Hope, right? So it's ericridesforhope.com, on Instagram, all those things. But if you can see here, it starts with the reason why. It always starts with why. And the why specifically on this one is we built a medical clinic. This is the clinic. We built it in Haiti after the first earthquake. I said first now, after what recently happened.
Yeah.
The earthquake in 2010. And very, very long story short, one of our closest friends, a Cutco Hall of Fame and legend, Andy Janti, is a Haitian gentleman. After the earthquake, it all starts with one crazy idea. We're going to build a medical clinic. right? And then he started enlisting other people. And again, long story short, after 7 years, we raised $1.2 million.
Wow.
I personally took 4 trips to Haiti. We did 7 trips all together, and we built that clinic. Like, we built this building from the ground up.
Nice.
Concrete slab before we showed up.
Impressive.
And yeah, and so that was we opened in 2017 on the 7-year anniversary of the earthquake. And then what happened after we opened, I built that place from the ground up, right? And sorry, I feel like every day when I do something on Zoom is the time that the trash comes to get picked up. Perfect.
I can't hear it.
Pretty good. Is we got done with it and we lost a lot of our recurring donations of funding. And so all of a sudden we had this, like, we have this amazing building and we can't pay the doctors and nurses. Are you kidding me?
Right.
And so we just stepped in. And at first what that means is like, what do you mean? We started paying it ourselves.
Wow.
We started just paying it. And I'm looking at, in fact, I'll flip you around. Here's my nurse that I was sponsoring for 6 months. And her note says, "Thank you, Eric. You give me courage, Nurse Leah." So for a 4-month period, I was paying her salary. And then after a certain amount of time, you're like, that's not sustainable. I can't do that forever. And that's also not how a hospital is run.
Right.
So we got focused, and I'm super proud of our team. In the last year and a half, me, 6 other people on a scheduled weekly fundraising call. We went from 4% to 100% of our funds raised. And now I'm on this mission. I took it into my own hands to get the money to secure the grants. So I'm like, you want something done, do it yourself. So I always wanted to drive across country. And then I got the idea to bike across country. And then I got that hot idea. I was like, well, if I'm going to bicycle across country, if you do something, don't do it for free. And so I was like, cool. And, but it goes back to too, this is the ride for hope. Prior to this, there was the fight for hope, which I actually, if you go on YouTube, you put in the fight for hope. I did a 5-round boxing match with my best friend. Yeah, we raised $1,200 in one night.
Wow.
In hindsight, I should have just cut a check for $1,200. It a lot easier.
Well, that's painful.
Yeah, exactly. We had a blast. But before that was the run for hope. So I ran a marathon. But then why I share that is it's not just like I woke up one day and was like, oh, I'm going to ride a bike cross country and do it. Just like most agents who are doing 50 transactions a year don't wake up and go, hey, last year I did 6. This year I'm going to do 50, right? It starts with you go to 25 and then you go to 50. But before 25, there's 8. And before 8, there's 1. And before, whatever it is. So it's this crazy, crazy thing that started with an idea of mine. And then we got a logo and then a thing. And now the logo is on a sticker and the stickers are getting all over the world. And then there's like, it's snowballed into this wild, awesome thing. But it starts with why, and my message that I'm going to bicycle across country and share with young people is hopefully to inspire not them to ride across country and for a medical clinic in Haiti, but fill in the blanks for yourself. Like I'm Eric Rides for Hope, right? It's a formula. We talked about this. You mentioned that, right? What's the formula? It's you plus a thing for a cause, for a why. So it could be, gym push-ups for friends, or like Susie bakes for class. Like it could be something like, what is your why, right? Like what's your thing? It's do it for that. And so I encourage people, it doesn't have to be that big either. It could be something small. It could be, whoever you helping neighborhood people, and it doesn't have to be some grand master scale thing. So that's what I try and encourage people is just everyone has the same opportunity I have to not do everything I can do, but you can think bigger.
Yeah.
That's why I write, I write in the front of the book, it's called The Power to Change. And I always write the message, thank you for the support, whatever, you have the power to change anything you want in life. And someone challenged me a couple of years ago saying they were in someone challenged me. They were in a wheelchair at a conference, and they were like, they weren't being rude about it, but it was a Cutco rep, and he goes, well, I can't change the fact that I can walk. Like you can change your perception about it. And I can't change that. You can't change the fact that your legs don't work, but don't tell me you can't change what you're going to do about it. Go talk to the people in the Paralympics.
Yeah.
Like there's ways about it. And look, everyone dealt a different hand of cards in life. I'm extraordinarily grateful, and I feel, blessed and lucky to have what I have. but it comes back to, that's why I push myself so hard. Because I've been to Haiti 4 times. I've spent an extensive amount of time there. And man, here's the thing, Jim, and I'll leave with this. If you woke up this morning, right? If you woke up this morning, first of all, that's great.
Yeah, you're here.
You opened up 2 eyes. You breathe air effortlessly into 2 lungs. You took 2 legs. You swung them outside of a bed. That bed was inside of a house, and that house was inside the United States. If you qualify for all those things, well, then in my personal opinion, you have a responsibility and an obligation to do something with it.
Great. Yeah, for sure.
A third of the planet who are dying for or killing for that same right I have right now when I effortlessly just take a sip of water. No, I had go get more in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when it comes back to like the selling knives thing, people like, you're really passionate about like the selling knives, because it ties back into my why, which is a medical clinic. So I know it sounds like kind of wild, but like literally, like if my business fails, well, then people's lives are on the line.
I love that. I think that having a powerful why is the biggest motivator. And it's got to be beyond just us and our personal needs and our little lives. Being bigger is, I think, so much stronger. Mm-hmm. Okay, Eric, you've done a great job, buddy. Lots of great information. Where can people find your book?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. So if you just search my name, Eric Gillman, leave a 5-star review if you love it, and it will help me get my whole thing boosted up.
All right,
I'm the number 1 purchaser of my book. I send them out to a whole bunch of people, so it's not like super high on the Amazon rankings. We're working on it, but just search my name, Eric Gillman, and then everything across the board is Eric Rides for Hope. So that's my Instagram, the website, and then of course the website for the gifts, and of course I can follow up anyone who wants more information. We've got all the systems to plug you in for that. That's just sharpretention.com.
Sharp Retention, love it. Eric, thank you so much for all your time today. You dropped a lot of great information on our team, and I know they'll be able to go out there and crush it with this level of motivation. Thanks, my friend.
Absolutely. Very welcome, and have a super sharp rest of your day, my friend.
Okay. You too, bud.